Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is safe and still healthy. Wanted to give you a quick couple of things that I run into all the time as far as what my clients usually say. The first thing that they usually say is, I'm overwhelmed at all of this, or I don't know where to start. One thing that you can do is you have to zoom in on something that's right in front of you. You can't look at the big picture. You have to be detail oriented, so to speak. You have to look at the little bitty things in front of you instead of the entire room. If you look at the entire room, it is going to be very, very overwhelming, especially if you have a lot of stuff in there. If you can just look down at your feet and be right there in front of you, things are going to go much easier and they're going to go a lot quicker for you, one thing at a time. If you have a bunch of bins, let's say, that you have stored, or if it's just a bunch of stuff, go through a box at a time. It doesn't matter which box you don't overthink it. I guess that's the biggest point. Don't overthink it. Just start on a box, start on a bin, start in an area, whatever you want to call it, and just start. Pick up one thing at a time. If you have to sit down, sit down. If you can just go through and pick up just the trash. Again, it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter which side of the room. It doesn't matter if it's in the middle or if it's on one side or the other, front or back. If you can get to it, if it's a piece of trash, pick it up. If you're getting really, really overwhelmed, walk in the other room with something else that doesn't belong in the room that you're at. Say, like, I'm in the living room. Okay, if I have something in the living room and I have a lot of stuff in the living room, there's something that goes in the kitchen. There's something that goes in the bedrooms. Pick it up. Take it to that other room. Take a few deep breaths and come back to the living room. Don't let yourself get distracted. There's a lot of distractions, especially now that a lot of us are working from home. There's a lot of distractions that can distract you. You can get a phone call. You can have the other half start yelling at you because they need something or want your attention for a question or whatever the case may be. You may be in the middle of what you're doing and all of a sudden hear, Mom, Dad. Stop and do what you got to do, but then make sure that you come back to it. There's a lot of people that I've seen that say, give yourself a time limit. Do it for 20 minutes. Do it for an hour. Honestly, you get involved in a project. I call them projects. It doesn't matter what it is. If you call it a project, if you call it a disaster, if you call it a mess, if you call whatever you call it, I call it a project. It's something that has to be done. We all enjoy doing projects more than we do enjoy doing chores. Make it a project. It's a project that has to be done. Get it done and do it as long as you possibly can. The longer you work, the more you will get accomplished. And if you stay laser focused on what you have in front of you, if it's a lot of little bitty things, say pencils and pens, if you have a lot of office stuff, take those pens and put them in a basket, put them in a plastic drawer, put them in a Ziploc bag, whatever the case, whatever you have. Put them in something. That way you can sit in one spot and you can make circles and make sure that they write, because there's no point in keeping a pen around that doesn't write. If you have pencils around and you don't use them, get rid of them. Give them to the kids, give them to your next door neighbors, give them to a shelter, give them to somebody if you don't use pencils. If you have a ton of pens and you need like 4 of them. I had a client who had a home business, and he needed the pens that he has, but he had a full drawer full of bins, and I mean pens, and I mean like drawer full of like the plastic bins, the 3 drawer file bins. I'll show you. I got one right here. One of these. This whole drawer here was full of pens. I mean, full of pens. That's too many pens. Make sure that you have enough, but you don't need an overabundance. But you got to make sure they all work. If they don't work, there's no point. Throw them away. But that's something that you can do sitting down, watching TV. But when you get into a project, or you know you've got a project to do, be laser focused on what you've got in front of you. And before you know it, you will be clear around the room and have gone through everything. If there's too much stuff out, I have a tendency of pulling as much as I possibly can out. I mean, constantly. Where does this go? What is that? Where does that go? Where does this go? What do you want to do with this? What do you want to do with that? Make yourself piles. If it gets overwhelming because there's so much stuff, stop what you're doing and go to those piles. Okay, this pile here is a pile to go. It goes to donation. I don't want it anymore. Bag it up. Put it in the car. It's gone. Okay, this pile is a pile of trash. Bag it up. Put it in the trash can. Take it outside into one of your big bins that you have. I know we've all got them. Put it outside. Okay, it's now gone. Okay, this stuff is the stuff that I'm gonna hang on to, but it goes in a different room. Take it to the other rooms. Put it away in the other rooms. Don't just put it down on the floor. Put it away in the other rooms. Then you've got your open space again. You can take a few breaths and then go back to pulling more stuff out. It's in some cases it's easier said than done. But the more you do it, the more you practice at it, the better you'll get, the easier it'll become. Without taking too much more time, I know I've been long-winded lately. Sorry about that, but there are times where it just it takes a lot of detail. It can be a lot of detail. So I will get off here and let you guys get back to whatever it is you're doing. If you have any questions or have any comments, please let me know. Thanks.